Hey everybody, this is Alchemist 2, and this time I am reviewing Darker Than Black. Actually, the second Darker Than Black, which is similar but different to from the original. And it begins with a girl named Suo and her brother named Shion, and their father, and of course they're all from Russia. Their mother's Japanese and their father's Russian, and he's a scientist, and he's developed this technology. I'm not going to tell you what it does, because if I do, then it'll give away a huge plot point. But there is an awful lot going on in this series, and it's interesting. It's quite intriguing as well, especially when Suo becomes a contractor. And there are a lot of moments in this particular addition to the series that just make me tear up quite frequently. There really isn't a whole lot of comedic material in this particular installation to the series. Kiko, I finally figured out what her name is, the pink-haired girl from the original with Guy Kurosawa. We figure out what his real name is too, which is really amusing, and that he's still a mama's boy, but you know, that comes up much later. And of course this has happened since the syndicate has dissolved, and they're still contractors, and America is looking for a power source in yin, strangely enough. And there's also a legend that has been passed down that goes, if Izanami and Izanagi meet, then there will be complete and utter total destruction. In other words, Armageddon. And of course the scientists don't want this to happen. Nobody wants this to happen. And there, of course, there are other contractors that we meet in the series that are really quite interesting. And we still have April. April's not around for a long time, though, unfortunately. It's quite sad. July is still around, and I like July. July is really an interesting doll. He's a doll, and he's able to get surroundings from just putting his hand on glass, and he can assess where another contractor is just by putting his hand on glass, and I just thought that was so cool. It's different than the first one, and it's just as good, but it leaves a lot of questions that aren't really completely totally answered at the end. It's more of a beginning than it is an end, and Kisaraki's even in it, but her relationship with her partner is never fleshed out. It kind of reminds me of Suzanne and Jim in Code Lyoko, for those of you who've seen it, and those are you who are Lyoko fans. But Kisaraki actually goes into another agency, and she follows BK201, aka the Black Reaper, in this new series, and methinks that she may have a little crush on BK201. Actually, that's mentioned quite a bit, and I was always kind of wondering if she did have a little fancy for him. And there are a lot of women in this series, of the original, who do, you know, suffice it to say. And of course there are some romances that are going on too, and it's interesting to see the relationship between Suo and Hei. Of course, I don't really think that it's more like a brother-sister relationship than anything else. It's not really a love relationship. You know, in the beginning, before she becomes a contractor, she has a friend in Russia. Her name's Tanya, and Tanya becomes a contractor too, which is interesting because they reconvene later on. But it's just odd how someone could be completely normal at one point and then bang, they're turned into a contractor and then recruited by some society that wants to use the contractor's ability. And it's just crazy. It's kind of like a spy thriller in that sense, and I liked it for that reason. But I would only give this 3 stars out of 4, to be honest with you, because the first one was just, it was spectacular, and it actually connects with this one because we learn how Mao, who in the original is a black cat, and he becomes a Myoga, which is basically a flying squirrel. In this installment, which is quite humorous, to be honest with you, because you don't really know that he is until Suo becomes a contractor, and then you realize who Suo really is. And of course there's a lot of existentialism going on, and philosophy, and just metaphysics. It's just nuts. And of course there's a little cameo at the end with the old woman who was the landlord for Hay in the first series. Of course you had to be really attentive to detail to see it, but it's a good addition. It's more serious than the first, and it's everything about it is really beautifully rendered and well done. But I don't like it as well as the first. It's still good though. So if you have a chance to, if you've seen the first, Darker Than Black, I would definitely recommend the second one because it's a good follow-up to the original. 2 thumbs up.